Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide. Well, finally, I had enough time to actually get all the other stuff done, and we are now gonna do the in-depth review of the BOOX Mira, a 13.3-inch monochromatic e-ink display unit. Not a tablet, this is just a dedicated display unit. A couple of weeks ago, BOOX have kindly sent me the review unit to test out and spend some time with, which I have, and now I'm ready to bring you the in-depth review. So let's get going. And here it is, the BOOX Mira 13.3-inch e-ink display screen. So this is not a tablet or anything like that. This is a dedicated external screen. So nope, it doesn't have any functionality on its own other than it just being an external screen. As an external screen, it's supposed to be used as a companion or a replacement for your regular LCD or OLED screen that is backlit and it is causing you, for example, some problems with your eyes or anything like that. That is the purpose of the e-ink technology. So that's one of the things, because it's front-lit, not backlit. And the second thing about the e-ink technology is that it's extremely easy to use and highly visible in outdoor scenarios. So those are the primary use cases of a screen like that. And yeah, who would actually benefit from this? Well, pretty much any office work would most definitely benefit from a product like this. The specifications of the BOOX Mira: it's a 13.3-inch e-ink screen. It's monochromatic, it's not color screen. It has a resolution of 1650 by 2200, which means it has a PPI of 207. It is also touch capacitive compatible. However, no, it does not have a Wacom layer on top, so it is not stylus EMR stylus compatible. It also has a front light, dual front light with warm and cold and intensity control, which can be turned off or adjusted intensity independently. More on that a little bit later. It also has a couple of controls and ports. You do get the mode switch control here on the left side. Then on the right side we have this jog wheel, basically a plastic one, which is like a joystick to go through menus. So you go to a mode and then you switch to menus or actually change the values. Then we have a mini HDMI in and we have two USB-Cs. Why do we have two? Well, it can definitely receive power and signal from a single USB-C if the sender device can actually provide it with enough power. But if you actually get into a situation where, for example, a mobile phone, some of the mobile phones maybe don't have enough power to actually run it, then you can actually power it externally with a USB-C and give it a signal from a device in here, and then you'll be able to bypass that limitation. And on the front we have a nice rectangular metal feeling, probably it's plastic, it just feels like metal, but a very nice button for manual refresh. It costs $799, so basically $800, which is a huge amount of money for a 13.3-inch e-ink screen, especially if you take into consideration that for $100 more, you can get Max Lumi 1 or 2, which is also 13.3-inch screen, but you get an entire functional tablet with it. So what's the deal with it? Why would actually it cost almost as much as Max Lumi, yet seemingly not offer as much? Well, that's why we're doing this review, so that you can actually see what this device is all about and what it is capable of. The design and build quality of this is, for me at least, pretty much close to perfect. There's only like two things that I can find it as faults for it as far as the design goes, but let's just do the first overview. So first of all, it is designed with the flipbook cover as a part of the integral design of this whole thing. So that's step number one, which is something that I really love. It's also magnetic, so if you flip it around, it doesn't fall off. You just simply flip it around and then you can have it as a screen like this if you want to. The cover itself is bendable, and it has magnetic kind of latch here as well to hold it in place. And then you fold it like this, and it works as a stand. And it's also as an adjustable stand. And it works as an adjustable stand because it has anti-slip rubber feet down here at the bottom. So already now, as a usable device, it really is a functional design, as beautiful as it is. So even there you have good way to actually control the device without any problems whatsoever. So the stand definitely works. And plus, when you're done, you flip the cover over and it's protected if it is for transportation or anything else. Something that's very, very modern and something that I really like. Now, then you get to have more interesting things, because maybe you don't want to use it like that. Maybe you would like to mount it on a Visa stand. Well, this is magnetically detachable cover. And then we expose the absolute beauty of the Boox Mira. So this whole thing is a uni-aluminum, I guess, because that's how it feels, unibody, beautifully crafted, really, really exceptionally made. It's extremely light, super thin on the thin side, slightly thicker on this one, but overall as a display, it's just really, really impressive. So you have the metal unibody as a bucket, and then you have on top this plastic cover or a bezel is here, and then a very, very slight indentation where the screen actually then flows into here. So as a design, I absolutely love this. When I was doing the review of the Dasung Paperlike, one of my main problems with that device was that the design and the build quality was great, but the design and the approach of it was really old. It felt and it looked and it was just like a very old device. It doesn't really belong in 2021 or 2022. That is most definitely not the case with the Boox Mira. If we're talking about buying an external e-ink screen that's supposed to be portable and flexible for use in multiple scenarios, this is what I'm expecting. And I can't really even begin to describe to you how good this feels, because it's so light and beautifully made. The only thing that's kind of outside of this amazing design and build quality is this joystick rocker here. And if you can see, this is actually made out of plastic. So I think that's something that could have easily been a metal piece, and it would have fit better this entire kind of a thing. Another thing that I really love about the design as well is that the frame is not a white color, it's not a black color, it's not identical, but it's matching closely the natural whiteness or the gray color of the e-ink panel itself. So again, you can see that the thought has gone into the design of the Boox Mira. One of the things that was noticeable in their early promo videos was it looked like the frame was actually shiny. Well, nope. Absolutely not. That's most definitely not the case here. So that is a very good thing to see. On the back, you also have a Visa mounting standard 75 by 75 millimeters. And yes, the mounting screws are included in the box. And you have these little spacers that actually allow for level mounting, which is excellent. And seeing how this screen is ultra light, I believe it's like 590 grams or something like that. You really don't need any kind of heavy duty Visa mounting arm or anything like that. So this is something that's really cool. And plus, if you mount it on a swiveling arm, then that's even better option to actually have it like that. Functional design and easily integratable into any kind of working environment. So that's something that I really love about this. And whoever came up with this, I absolutely salute this person, because this is just so elegant and so beautifully designed that it's a beautiful thing to see that somebody actually thought about, hey, maybe this is a device that you want to use, maybe this is like a portable screen, like an extension to your laptop that you want to carry around with yourself wherever you may go, and you want to keep it protected, and it's just stylish and it just works really good. So fantastic design and build quality for Boox Mira. Really outstanding. As I already mentioned, Boox Mira is using a 13.3-inch e-ink panel, 1650 by 2200 resolution, 207 ppi pixel density. I already mentioned that I really like that it has the screen or gray color frame. This is really important for a device like this because it doesn't steal away from the focus on the screen. So therefore, the effort needed to actually focus on the content of that's displayed is less than if you had a dark frame or a white frame. So this is something that I really like, and that's something that you can actually feel when you start using it, because you can only focus on the contents of the display, and it really does make a better impression, especially for long-term use. The second thing that I think is extremely important on a device like this is the reflectivity, and the reflectivity of the surface on this screen is exceptionally good. So these are studio lights, and they are super strong. And even this one, which is stronger than a normal room light that would be, the reflection is not strong enough to even omit the small letters Z's here. The reflection surface here is one of the best ones that I've seen on many devices, and I really hope that they start actually implementing this on their other tablets, because, for example, Max Lumi 2 would have certainly benefited from something like this. So it's a very good thing to see. Hooking up the Boox Mira to a PC is extremely easy because, well, the best method, of course, is to use the supplied USB-C cable, which will be able to actually transmit both the data and the power as well at the same time. So that's something that really works well. And basically, this is the supplied cable, good quality, good length, hooked up to my laptop right now. And all I'm going to do is simply plug this in, and now it is detected. Now on my PC, I have it appear immediately as a second display, and then you can choose your the resolution has been detected correctly, and you can choose your orientation on your computer as well, if it will be a landscape or a portrait orientation, depending on what you want to do. So yes, there were some questions like, does it have an auto rotate? No, it's a display, so that's something that is controlled by the computer, not by the display itself. So you can naturally switch it to portrait mode, and once I keep it to portrait mode, there we go. It can be like this. If you don't want the cable to be on the bottom, then you choose portrait flipped, and then it flips around. And there you go, and you can do the same thing for the landscape mode as well. So that's something that works as you would expect it to. Alright, so first things first, let's check out quickly the modes that you actually get. So you access the modes by pressing the button on the left, and you adjust the mode intensity by rocking the joystick on the right side. Now, if you are not in a specific mode, when it's just normal stuff and you rock the joystick, you'll be switching between general picture modes. And there are 4 picture modes. You have the standard, you have the text, which is higher contrast, slightly slower speed, really good for text. Then you have the images or the video mode, which is good for video. And then, of course, you have the picture mode, I believe, which is supposed to be good for pictures, but I generally find it really dark. I mean, this is the highest quality image that you can actually get, but it's also the slowest. So you can switch between these two in a quick manner. So that's something that actually works quite okay. It's a good idea to actually spend a little bit of time to get to know these modes, because more you utilize them and more you utilize the options that the Mira offers, better your usage of the device will be, because it really does allow for a huge level of flexibility and versatility. And once you actually just embrace it and you allow yourself to tweak it, then you are very quickly able to get really good results on pretty much any any situation that I've actually encountered. So we start with the regular standard mode. So that's what the rocker does. Now the mode itself, you just press it once and then it cycles through modes down here, or the controls. So the first one is the modes that you saw. Then we have the speed, so you can adjust the speed, and then it's like, okay, so if we are now in the standard mode but slowest speed, right? But if I now increase it, and you can see we remain the last mode that we used, and if I increase the speed, then I'm still in normal mode, but I have really fast speed here, especially with the ability to have this really excellent touch control, because it's super smooth and really responsive. Because it doesn't have that vacuum layer on top, you actually can enjoy the touch input the way it was meant to be, and it really does make a difference. After the speed control, then you have the darkness control, so you can control the level of dark pixels or dark shades in an image. And the next one after that is the control of the whiteness of the overall picture. As you can see, we can explode the clouds all the way, but you don't have to explode it. You can actually just find what works before it explodes. You can keep it on a higher level, but let's say that's okay, and then I cycle back to the darks and just go like maybe something like this to get a good contrast on the clouds, and then just go back to speed and increase the speed to this level that I like, and there you go. And then you have a really nice kind of a combination between basically speed and image quality, which is really good. Now what we have after that is, so darkness, lightness, let's move it down to 2, which I believe is the default. Then we have the front light control, and as I said, it's a dual front light. So we have the night light, which is the bluish. In the books world, the night light is bluish, even though it should be the orange light. But yeah, so you have this is the maximum intensity of the blue light, and you can see as we go down here. And one of the things that's really important to know is that the uniformity of this front light on this device is exceptional. It's actually better than on Max Lumi, and that's something that I really like to see. So let's put the night light at around middle. Next one is they call it daylight, but this is the orange light, which is supposed to be the proper orange light. So let's just give you the chance to see the orange light alone. So this is the orange light alone, and the lowest dimming level is quite dim, but I believe that if you are in complete darkness, it would be good if there was another step to it. So you got your modes: speed control, dark levels control, white level control, night light, daylight, and that's it. So those are the modes that you cycle through by pressing that button, and you adjust the levels by using this rocker here. In majority of the cases, I like the standard mode quite a bit. The only thing about the standard mode is, and I don't know if you can notice it, but yeah, you can do here. You can actually see that when you are moving the page, for example, scrolling, or if it was a video playing in the standard mode, you get this little kind of weird flickering, as you can see here, and we'll show that when I'm showing videos as well. So that's something that is distracting. However, if I do switch to video mode, yes, the picture quality does degrade, but then you no longer have that. So for video modes, for example, this is definitely a better way of handling this thing. Now, does it flicker less depending on the speed that's being used? Let's see. It's just a different sort of flickering, so it flickers slower, more slowly or more quickly, depending on the fast. So it's less distracting when you are at fast speed, and that's something that I really find like acceptable. I don't prefer watching videos like this, but that's why you have the video mode. I'm just gonna turn off the front light completely so that you can see how it looks like, and then that blinking is even less. So it's not the front light, it is actually the refreshing of the screen. So it's just refreshing really quickly, but you perceive it as a bit of a blink, but that's pretty much it. I think that the image quality is really, really good. And yeah, the trade-offs are balanced in a very good way with these controls that you have. For example, speed. The trade-off with speed, with ghosting in a different mode, it's actually something that works great. So all of these controls in conjunction with the ease of use, one cable for power and signal, and the touch control that actually communicates with your PC. I mean, basically, you can just drag it around really, really easily. So that's something that I really like. One thing to note is that, as far as I know, the touch control currently doesn't work with iOS, and I don't know if it works with Mac either. I'm not a Mac user, I have an ancient Mac here, but I do know that with my iPad in an iOS, it didn't work. You can get the signal if you have the correct converter, but the touch, I wasn't able to get it to work, and I was contacted by another user as well who also said the same thing, and he actually had a whole interaction with Books where actually they confirmed that currently it looks like Mira doesn't transmit or doesn't support a touch control for iOS devices. All right, so I'm gonna go through a couple of examples here, like real world examples, and use it the way I have been using it, which means I'm gonna set up the mode, the speed, the front light, and all that kind of stuff. Basically like just a real world example, and I'm just gonna explain what I'm using for what. So most of the time I find myself remaining in the auto mode. Basically 98% of the time I'm in the auto mode. I keep it at high speed because the ghosting is more than good enough, and I keep things kind of pale-ish, if you will, so something like this, because it just provides a good kind of a balance between things for me. As far as the light goes, I keep it relatively low, so maybe at 1. Most of the times I actually keep it completely turned off, but in this case I'm just going to keep it at 1. The main thing here is that I usually simply vary the speed amount, what I actually want, because you can actually clearly see, well, I clearly see it. Of course you see the difference in the speed, but you can see the difference in the picture itself. So for example, let's go here. So as I increase the speed, so does the quality of the image decrease, and you get a little bit paler image. But then again, it's never that much to actually bother me, so it's not something that I ever have a problem with. Web browsing is a really, really nice ordeal, for me at least. This is something that actually works pretty much normally. So especially because of the absolutely excellent touch responsiveness. Now the really cool thing is that it's super fast, and for me the normal and the high speed just gives me the absolute best option of everything. The only downfall with it is that when you're actually browsing, sometimes of course you will run into websites that have some moving images, and let's see, I think I do have some, there we go. And as they do move, you get to have that kind of flickering. So for browsing purposes and just normal kind of web usage, this is what I do, and that's basically how it looks like. So I'm gonna try and go and find different, let's just put my keyboard a little bit here, and let's type in, let's go to maybe news.google, and then you can also see how these things look like in real time. All right, and let's just find whatever, because I'm trying to find some media-rich content here with those ads and everything to see just how it looks like. Right, so no, I'm not happy. I want to manage my cookies and whatever. So there we go. And if there's a little bit of ghosting, you just press the button and there you go. So the location of the button and just the right amount of pressure that you need to, it might sound kind of silly, but especially when you're keeping it kind of on the holder here, this button doesn't have that much pressure. It's just right, so you don't have to press too much, and I don't know, it's just simple, it just works. So for me, the normal kind of usage of internet is more than good enough. So that's something that I was looking for, and that's what this device actually gives. All right, so for word processing, you can certainly use it as in the auto mode. I got my keyboard, the wireless keyboard, down here because I want you to just focus on this. At some point I'm gonna zoom out so that you can see just how quick this is, but yep, there's no really lag or anything like that. What I do prefer, I mean, I can definitely use my cursor here and you can see how easy it is. It's very, very nice and kind of responsive. I don't need to actually go to video mode or anything like that. This is more than good enough. But I actually don't find myself using the cursor that much because the touch responsiveness is so good and so fast. So in that case, I can just simply go, okay, so I want to write my title and I want it to be like this. And so this, let's go caps. So this is my title, right? Okay, so that's my title, and I don't know, now let's, oh, I could actually correct this. There we go. So now we start writing normally, and let's go paragraph 1, chapter 1, light on a bedstand. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is just like random stuff from my head right now. But yeah, the typing is more than comfortable. It's extremely, extremely good on the automatic mode. But if you so choose, you do have the text mode. And then when you actually switch to text mode, you also have the ability to adjust the control and everything like that. So this is the slowest mode. This is the slowest speed. And we are in text mode. As you can see, the darkness and the contrast is super, super strong, but that's why we have it like that. The night was long and damp. And to be honest, I'm just gonna, let's go close up here. So this is the reason why I don't use the text mode that much, because I don't know if you guys see, but when you have a very small font, then this is not a 207 ppi resolution. This is just the exploded contrast that's simply too strong. This is way too strong for my taste. So I end up actually using it, as I said, 98% of the time, I end up using it like this. And in this case, it's actually okay, but you do get the problem of if we're using low speed. So for example, let me try and see if it focuses. There we go. Do you see that slight flickering down there? Right around here, yeah? That's from the animated cursor there that's blinking, right? But if I switch the speed to higher, that is not completely gone, but it is far, far less pronounced. However, in a text mode, you have none of that kind of weird blinking or ghosting going on, right? So you gotta kind of balance these things out. So the text mode for me, the default, if you lower the speed all the way down, I think it explodes the picture too much. So what I end up actually doing is finding a good balance in the text mode with the speed itself, and I make sure that I adjust the darkness until the edges start to kind of appear and the icons are okay. And then I double check my whiteness. Well, whiteness can go all the way down. And then it actually looks okay. To be quite honest, for writing, and especially when looking at it from a far away, it's quite good. But if I'm looking at it up close, then the fuzziness that you can clearly see here does bother me. That's something that I do not like. For me personally, what I actually do is either this mode if I'm typing on the far way, but much more often I find myself actually going back to the fastest automatic and quite low darkness on the 2, and maybe just a little bit kind of a brightness here and there. The blinking thing of the animated cursor honestly doesn't bother me. It might bother you for sure. That might be a thing, but the thing is that I look at my keyboard when I type, and as I type, no thanks, I don't get to notice that issue at all. And moreover, it seems to disappear while you are typing content of some sort. For me, much more importantly is basically the comfort of being able to very quickly manipulate everything here, and yeah, basically that's what I prefer. So that's my use case scenario, but between the text and this one, that's how they look. The video mode I really wouldn't recommend for this because it really degrades the picture quite a bit, and the picture mode is good but quite slow. Because when you start typing, you understand that this is not a mode meant to be used for a thing like that. So while it's perfectly usable, it's clearly not meant to be used for that. So I resort either to a combination, either a text of some sort, but I honestly, for my sensibilities, I don't like that extreme contrast. So I find myself reverting back to automatic mode and finding a balance within that one. So let's now flip this one into portrait mode and put a keyboard down there so that you can see the interactivity, how it works in real time. All right, so here we are in the portrait mode. I couldn't zoom out further because it's to fit everything just doesn't work, and I actually had to put this one on it, but it seems to fit okay. So now let's continue writing so that you can have a real world example of how this works and looks like. Let's zoom in. All right, and now in a zoomed in state, you can see the quality and how it reacts to a real time input. And if you want to clear it out, you just press the clear button, and that's pretty much it. And the cool thing is, again, that touch responsiveness, because it makes it really good. So for text editing, for me at least, this is really a good way of doing it. And I especially enjoy turning off the front light completely and then writing like that in a normally lit room. That I find incredibly comfortable and a very enjoyable experience overall. So I love using Mira for text writing, editing, or anything like that. Really good for that. Here's an example of Google Sheets, and I'm in the same exact mode. So this is the normal mode with the fastest speed that you can use. And for me, this works more than excellent. So the navigation, of course, in Google Sheets is different, but you can see that you can very, very easily navigate between the cells and everything like that. Again, the touch input actually lends itself really, really well, and I can just show you realistically how I use this in reality is basically a setup like this. So I would have my keyboard here, I would have this one there, and that's pretty much it. So if I wanted to go in here and then go equals sum of something, and then I can just go here and type the value, and then maybe, can you drag it? No, Google Sheets doesn't support that, but I can actually go down to here and of course cause an error because I was doing something stupid here. But anyway, you kind of get the point. What I'm trying to make is that you have this immediate interactivity between the cells and everything else. Clearly it's a monochromatic device, so yeah, displaying different colors in a sheet or a benchmark or something like that, that's not something that's going to be, it doesn't lend itself well for a thing like that naturally, simply because it's a black and white device, and the shadings between the colors are they are there, but they're not, as you can see, you can see the shades of gray, but sometimes not that much, depending on what kind of a color scheme you are using. As far as the modes go, here as well, I'm staying mostly in the automatic mode, but you can, if you really want to, switch to text mode, but for me, then you completely lose all of the colors, and I tend to color code my sheets in that manner, so that's something that I prefer. So I tend to use it in this way. Again, the same thing with maximum speed, or sometimes actually halfway speed, because it's still more than fast enough, but it actually gives me a little bit more clarity if I have particularly a lot of content in here and things like that. But one of the things that I would like to point out is that even in a situation where we have black text on darker gray, and it's not bolded or anything like that, you still get quite a nice level of clarity. So that's something that I really like. Even though this is a fairly small font, it still just works perfectly fine for me. And yeah, everything else is readable. I never have to squint to find anything or anything like that. So basically, yeah, perfectly usable for Excel sheets as well, especially because of the touch navigation. However, you have to keep in mind it's a monochromatic device. So if you depend on color coordination in your sheets, then definitely that would be a negative, naturally, because it's a black and white device. So I'm in Acrobat Reader, so I gotta use my keyboard here to actually just flip through images. So one of the things that I do like is that first of all, the clarity is quite good. You do get some ghosting, especially when you're going through these things. So yeah, you can see some ghosting. However, if you want the best picture quality, indeed like a picture quality, then you would need to switch your mode, of course, to picture, and then we get the same type of clarity and yeah, the same type of darkness, if you will, as we had on Max Lumi. But you can of course adjust this, and you can adjust the picture to your liking, naturally. But you do get that color banding, what I was talking about in Max Lumi 2 as well. So this is a mode that I tend basically never to use, simply because it's slowest, and while it should have the best picture quality, it actually doesn't because of the color banding. So again, even in this mode, I do resort to automatic mode, but I lower the speed all the way down, and then you get really good sharpness and really good clarity. So in this case, it really does make a difference, quite a significant difference, if you're using what type of speed you have set up. So for me, for best comfort of reading and images like this, like content like this, or maybe, I don't know, a book of some sort. I do tend to use, again, the automatic mode, but I lower the speed all the way down, and then I get to have a very enjoyable experience. Here's how the text looks like in that mode. So for me, that's more than good enough. This is definitely something that works really good, and you can see here the clarity. Here there's a nasty rooster, and yeah, this is the level of details that you can expect on Booksmira when we're talking about images. So now let's go to that page that has the atlas and really, really tiny text. So let's see, that's somewhere around here. Clear, and there we go. So that's how the text looks like. And this is super, super duper small text. So yeah, for me, in majority of cases, yeah, this is the mode that always worked well. And the only thing that always confused me was that I have Adobe Acrobat Reader as my default one, and it doesn't actually respond to touch. Maybe I didn't set up something correctly. Of course it can, I just didn't bother setting it up that way. But yeah, and then I start touching and it starts editing things. So yeah, but otherwise, yeah, again, it's something that I just want to use normally. And even though it's monochromatic, it really doesn't matter for me because the clarity of images is really lovely and the usability is, yeah, perfect. So even for images and yeah, for documents, reviewing documents or brochures or reading books, definitely something that Booksmira can handle quite nicely. For coding, I tend to use a dark theme, but the dark themes of anything are not recommended to be used on Booksmira. So that's one of the downsides of using it in conjunction with a laptop, because, for example, your browser, I prefer it as a dark theme on a regular screen, but you will definitely want to use it as a bright theme on the Booksmira. So that's a thing that you have to kind of keep in mind if that's something for you or not. The same translates for, in this example, for Visual Basic, for programming, and that's something that yeah, you just kind of gotta keep in mind and see for yourself what your habits are, if this is something that will work or not. Obviously it's monochromatic, so you won't have the color coordination of different classes, functions, and types. So that's, again, something that might interfere with you or not. And here I have a really weird setup because the camera, I want to kind of capture this in a normal manner and for you to also see me typing. So let's just move this a little bit to the side so that you can see the keyboard as well. And now I'm just gonna simply type some stuff, some random things, and make sure that you actually see in real time how this looks like so that you can see if the speed is bothering you or not. The mode that I'm using is the one that I'm mostly using for this kind of stuff, which is the automatic mode and the highest speed, right? So let's start with a fresh clear case here, and let's start. So let's start with a public bool my switch, and then I'm gonna add a public int, which is going to be the counter, and we're gonna start at 0. And oh, that's a weird keyboard, so there we go. That's kind of odd. Okay, there we go. So this is an odd setup here, and let's just now add an empty one that this is my or toggle, my toggle. It's gonna take a bool called _switch, and I'm gonna go enter. Oh no, where are the squiggly lines? I always forget on this one. That's here. Sorry, this is a weird keyboard, so I'm not sure. And this is, again, really cool thing to have that touch. There we go, squigglies, excellent. So the squigglies are here. Let's tab them in. This is a very weird Visual Basic setup. Usually he's smarter than this. So now let's just say, I don't know, if, what's it called? My switch, there we go, so it works. Then we're gonna, oh no, again, the squigglies. There we go, cool. I'm getting better at the squigglies. There we go. The only thing I don't like is this. Ugh, come on. Yeah, can you tell that I never use this keyboard for programming? So let's first turn it off. Equals false. And then let's just add a iterate the counter by 1. And there you go. That's an epic little function right there. But yeah, it actually works really good. And the thing that, again, I really, really like is how responsive it is for the touch, and how good and easy it is. Somebody asked, like, is it going to be distracting if it's too slow or not? Well, not for me, because first of all, you have the ability to slide with this one. Of course, this is small amount of code, but you can always navigate like this. You can always jump to a line very precisely here, like, yeah, anywhere you want to kind of do anything like that. You can double tap a word, which is something that I really like as well, because you can just go like this. But yeah, the touch responsiveness for me makes the thing why this thing actually works so well in so many cases. And if it's coupled with a program that actually responds well to touch input, this for me really, really works well. And the speed is excellent, and the ghosting is, yeah, I mean, we're running at the fastest one on automatic, and I don't really mind it. I really, really rarely find myself in a situation where I have to press that button, and even when I do, it just clears it out and you continue working. So for me, this really, really works well and lends itself really good. But again, the same note as for the Google Sheets or the Excel, which means that if you depend highly on the color coordination of your code, then this is going to be an obstacle for you because it's monochromatic. If you don't, then no, then this definitely works. And here's the clarity of the image. And yeah, just basically, you can see slight differentiations in grays and blacks when you have different values here. And then you can see also the clarity and the quality of the image. All right, and finally, let's check out the video performance. So I'm still in automatic mode at full speed, and let's just find, yeah, you can see how this works. So I'm first going to show a video in this mode, and let's find the one with the reindeers, because that's a yeah, that's a demanding type of content. And you can also see how the interaction works and everything. One note, of course, this doesn't have speakers, so you won't be able to hear any kind of tone from here. So here I'm gonna go, oh, it automatically found it, but let's force it to 4K. So that we just see how it actually deals with that. So here we are in automatic mode, and you can see how it looks like. For me, very clear, but you do have that blinking, right? So now let's switch to video mode, and yeah, instantly this is the highest speed of the video mode. Yes, there's some picture degradation, but for an e-ink screen, this is truly impressive. This is really, really impressive. Now, coupled with the fact that I can now, okay, so maybe I want some more kind of darkness here, so I'm gonna introduce some more darkness, and let's pump up the whites here. Whoa, not that much, a little bit less. And let's see how much of the darkness do we want. So you can really fine-tune your image any way you want. And there we go. So now let's go to something more recognizable. Let's see, where's the subject that's moving. This is a low quality part. Let's find something that's sharper. There we go. So yeah, for me, this really is a demanding type of an image because you have just this grass and rocks and only the silhouette of him. So it's really a lot of grays and a lot of shades and a lot of things going on. It's a shaky type of an image. So all of this is an invitation for a ghosting mess. So this, by all accounts, should be all covered in ghosting and kind of, yeah, not nice. But it really isn't. So now you can see the clarity, and I'm just gonna bring in this close to the camera so that you can see how the image quality is like when you are looking at it up close. Okay, that moved. But hopefully you're able to discern the details, and this is video at the fastest, I believe. I believe it's at the fastest one, so let's now just double check that. Yep, it's the fastest one. And if I lower the speed all the way down, this is the speed that we get, but you do get a lot of more sharpness. So something like this is also okay, but yep, honestly for me, the highest intensity is more than good enough, and not the highest intensity, but the highest speed is more than good enough, and that's just something that works really well for me. So even as a device for playing videos, it's not just adequate, it's something that actually works because you can clearly use it. So now let's just switch on this one back to the auto mode, just so that you can see a difference, because there we go. So you can clearly see let's lower the darkness, you don't need that much. So you can clearly see the difference in image clarity and quality in a normal mode, but you do get that flickering, which is something that you can probably notice here. It's not so distracting when you're using it for web browsing, text typing, something, but I do find it distracting in the video mode. So despite the better image quality, whenever I was watching the video content, I would always use it in the video mode because I found it most adequate, right? So it just made most sense. So that's basically how it works with the video content. All right, so I'm using external power supply into this, and I'm using an HDMI, the supplied HDMI cable, HDMI out from my same power or same laptop, going into HDMI here. It wakes up, all right. Now let's move some content into here. The image quality, of course, is going to be the same, but what I am interested in is, can it support touch? Does it actually support touch? And as expected, no, because HDMI is not able to, well, most of the HDMI outputs are not able to transmit touch. So that actually resolves the dilemma that I had, which was, I pretty much was certain that the user who said if they have a converter for the iOS platform and that's an HDMI, unless you also have a data cable to transmit the input data and stuff, nope, the touch does not transmit via the HDMI cable, and that's across the platforms, and that actually makes sense. That makes perfect sense. The image quality is pretty much the same as far as I can see, so no differences there. The only difference is, of course, with the HDMI, you have to have external power supply as well. That can come from your computer too, but yeah, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. All right, so now I have my Android 11, yeah, it's updated to 11 phone. I'm gonna just plug in, again, the supplied USB-C cable to it and see if it can actually give enough juice to power the Mira, or will it need external power supply? It's doing something. Oh, holy moly. Okay, so definitely, and the touch works. So there we go. This is something that absolutely works, and let's flip it to landscape since I am in landscape mode, and this definitely works. Now the only problem with this is that it would have been nice if I had an option to if Android actually had an option to tell me how to project this. So this is not really a Mira problem. This is an Android issue. So maybe if you do have if you do have a software that would allow you to adjust the orientation of your external display for the Android, that would be a cool thing, but I don't have it here. But again, you can see that this clearly works perfectly fine, and you can actually use it in landscape as well. So if we flip around here, then it works like that, but obviously I don't have the resolution control here, and that's something that will affect it. But for sure the touch works, single cable, and impressively, very, very impressively, my phone is able to actually supply the juice to the Mira. So again, I can do it with one cable only. I don't even need the external cable for power. This is really impressive because this means that you're very portable. This is your setup in this kind of case. There's no other stuff that you need. So that's very, very interesting to see. And I really did want to use my ancient MacBook to kind of test that it actually works with the MacBook, but of course Macintosh has to be super special and things like that. So and I have no idea where my converters are to actually convert to a normal standard such as HDMI. So unfortunately I can't test that. All right, fine. If you don't know by now, I am stubborn and persistent. So yeah, I went out and found the adapters. So let's try. I got different ones here. So let's try with the normal one first and see what we get. And yeah, it works. The only thing is that I haven't really started this laptop in many years. So it took a while for it to actually test to start up, but there we go. So we're kind of dragging this up, and let's maximize, and let's go to something that has bright context. So let's stick with news.google.com and then just see some brighter kind of images and see how that works. That works, but as expected, the touch doesn't work. So yeah, Boox Mira definitely works via the HDMI, for at least for me, because that's the old one that I have. That works fine with the Boox Mira, so I can only expect that it should work normally with more modern Mac OSs that have a USB-C as well. So that's something that I'm guessing. I can't be sure as I don't have a device like that, but for this setup, it actually worked. Alright, so that's the Boox Mira, and as usual with the conclusions, let's start with the cons. The first con would be the iOS support, which is there, but it has a couple of asterisks, and that's in order to actually establish it, you need a very specific dedicated converter to make it work, and even when you do, it looks like that the touch support is not there yet. So my main con for this is that if you just go to a store and buy a normal data transfer lightning cable to USB-C, which is something that should actually work with the data transfer of the images, it actually doesn't work, even when you supply the other power. So you have to go over several hurdles to make the Mira work and integrate the iOS environment. And if that's your primary environment and that's what you want to use it for, then this is most definitely a huge con, because you simply need to know about this because it could be a deal breaker for some. Another con for me is that while the automatic mode is the one that I've spent by far the most time in, the flashing that happens when you have rapid change of images or animations or videos, that is something that, depending on the content and how much of it is on the screen, it can be distracting. And that is especially true if you're using it for browsing, and you're browsing websites that are inundated with banners, animated ads, and all that kind of stuff, which is quite a lot of content. at times that can be a little bit too flashy. Now then again, you can also use ad blockers and things like that, and then have a overall much more pleasant browsing experience to block out all of that nonsense and noise and basically focus on the content. And if you actually do that, then yeah, first of all, you have less distraction. Second of all, you don't have that problem. But again, if this is the use type scenario that you're kind of using, and you're imagining that you're gonna use this for Facebook or Instagram or something where a lot of animated content is there, this is something that you have to be aware of, because the likelihood is that you will most likely want to use it more in the video mode so that you can avoid that flashy kind of thing. Now, for me personally, when I'm using it in auto mode with the maximum speed, that kind of flickering is not a problem at all, and that works fine. So at any given point, I was able to find a good compromise and a good solution that didn't really bother me. So for me personally, it's not an issue, but objectively, it is something that's present and something that you have to keep in mind and be aware of. And finally, for me, the usability of additional modes is good to have, but they're not... Maybe the auto mode is too good, I don't know, or the other modes are not good enough. So the first thing is that the P mode, I assume it's the picture mode or maybe something else, but the P mode, which is the highest quality and everything, I would use that for reading, yes, and definitely it offers the most amount of clarity, but you get that color banding in the images. So even there, it's not an ideal solution. And the text mode, which is supposed to be used for text editing and everything like that, while it most certainly does work, the contrast is so strong, even at the smallest setting, that at the very small fonts, for me at least, you would get a little bit more fuzziness than I would get in the automatic mode, depending on how I actually set it up. So that makes text mode kind of redundant, and I think it could have been balanced a little bit better. And now on to the pros for the book's Mira display. Well, first of all, it has an excellent image quality overall, and that auto mode I think is the one that is the important one, because it's so versatile and so flexible, and with the amount of controls that you have, you can basically dial in very quickly, even manually with the controls on it or via the software if you want. You can dial in the controls that you want and just kind of enjoy. It was very rare to run into an occasion where I was unable to basically find a combination of parameters and settings very quickly that will suit that combination and that situation and just kind of work. It also has excellent video playback performance and quality, and that is something that's truly impressive for me. So Dasung really has an excellent image quality for video and maybe a slightly smoother and a better frame rate. However, Mira is really close there, and for me personally, again, the versatility and the flexibility of the controls allows me to dial in the image quality and the just how the image is, how I want it to be, much more flexible and much better than I could on Dasung. And that's something that overall, for me, despite the tiny bit of difference in speed, image speed playback, but the ability to dial in the image quality and the picture quality the way I want it in a video and have smoothness, well, that I'm going to take any day of the year than, extra 3 frames per second. And just as a dedicated pro, excellent functionality and versatility. This is something that I've already mentioned in the image quality and the video quality, but as its own thing, I think it's a very important pro to keep in mind, because that is one of the things that makes the book's Mira actually stand out, and it raises its value quite considerably. Beautiful design and build quality. And again, this decision to actually have it as a standalone unit with a built-in cover that you can just magnetically take off, put it on a Visa mount if you want, you cover it back in. So it turns into a portable monitor as well. It's just a very well thought out product that can slot into an everyday use case scenario perfectly. The only gripe, I know it's a small thing, but it's my thing, so deal with it. I really think that this joystick should have been made out of metal and not plastic, but that's just me, especially because it's a small thing and it's just protruding. I just have a feeling that it's a thing that's bound to happen, that over the years when you put it into into your backpack or something else, you will chip it at some point, and because it's plastic and it's protruding and it's so small, it might break off, and that would suck. If it was metal, that wouldn't happen. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. So who knows, maybe it's made out of some super duper uber plastic, but I doubt it. It also has excellent connectivity and up-to-date connectivity. So with two USB-C ports and a mini HDMI, not a micro HDMI, mini HDMI, you have the option to actually convert it to virtually any situation that you want. And if you have enough adapters, you will be able to adapt it to that. So even if you have a setup where you just have an HDMI into the device here, you still have a USB-C for data transfer if you want to have touch control, and then another USB-C as well for the power, external power if you wanted to. I slightly mentioned portability as a thing that I like in the design, but seeing how it weighs only 590 grams, and that's with the cover. When you take the cover off, it's even lighter. And the design itself, how it's covered and just how it's thought out, the portability of this design is something that wins me over. And I think it's a very important pro, because that's most certainly not the case with the Dasung. Dasung is still a very old school screen that has a tiny little plastic thing that protrudes as a stand, and this is just a different category of a design and different usability of a design. So yeah, the portability thing just makes so much sense for a product like this, and I love that it's been included and basically that they've been thinking about that. Multi-platform support for this product is definitely a pro. Now, iOS people are probably gonna say like, wow, that's why it's been mentioned as a separate con. You should also understand that there's a multitude of users who are using other platforms, and as you've seen for PC and Android, for example. So if you're in a PC and Android environment, it's as easy as it gets. You can just use it via a single USB-C cable, goes from your laptop or a PC into this one, and you get power, video signal, and touch data communication transferable right there. The same thing really impressively worked off my phone, and of course off my tablet as well. So that is a very, very impressive thing to see. Even when I went all the way down to my 2011 or 2012 MacBook, after extensive booting time, it actually managed to boot up, and then I just plugged in a HDMI cable and it worked. And I'm thinking, I haven't tried that. I might try it out later. Maybe I could have also used the USB-A to USB-C cable to enable the touch support. I don't know. I didn't think of it when I was actually testing it out, but that probably maybe could have worked. So that's something that I'll test out and leave a comment, a pinned comment to actually describe if it works or not. If it does, that would be absolutely fantastic. So multi-platform, for me at least, I'm a PC and an Android user, and in my use case scenario, it was absolutely impressive because one cable, everything works out of the box. All right, so let's summarize the Boox Mira. Dedicated e-ink display units are a niche within a niche, and as such it's only normal to understand that not many users are going to gravitate towards a product like that, especially if you take into consideration the premise of a product like this. For example, Boox Mira. You will be paying $800 for a monochromatic 13.3-inch display, just a display, that is basically able somehow to muster up 20-ish frames per second performance. Now, if these four make you laugh, or you go like, well, what the hell is this? Why would I ever want that? Then that means that you are not in a market for an e-ink monitor, and this is not a product for you, which is okay, which is totally fine and normal. So that's why I said it's a niche within a niche. However, if you're a type of a person that finds themselves after years and years of constant backlit devices basically frying your eyes, drying them out, making making you feel tired, making your face kind of more tightened up, and that you actually feel the strain of that and causing some headaches and fatigue and all these kinds of things, which are very, very real health symptoms, especially if you're spending an exuberant amount of time in front of screens for years, then this kind of a product is something that actually makes sense. And you are probably the type of person that recognizes the value of a non-backlit monitor that can be used in regularly lit conditions, outside if you want, without any backlighting at all if you so choose. So if you are already aware of these values that a product like this actually brings to the table, then you should know that Boox Mira is probably, as far as I'm concerned, the best dedicated monochromatic 13.3-inch display, e-ink display on the market today. Now that's not saying much because its main competitor is like one, and that is the Dasung Paperlike HD FD, which I also reviewed, and the back-to-back comparison is filmed. I just need to film some more stuff and then edit it, and that's coming soon. So back-to-back testing is definitely coming, but right off the bat, I mean, there's no really a competition between these two because Boox Mira is on every level a better product than the Dasung Paperlike HD FD. It's as simple as that. Now that doesn't mean that Dasung is a bad product at all, not at all. It just means that Boox Mira is a better product. And you get a whopping $300 lower price tag on the Boox Mira when you compare it to the Dasung Paperlike HD FD to actually get the same types of functionalities, because that one costs $1,100 and Boox Mira is $800. None of them are cheap. Both price tags are completely insane for just a 13.3-inch monitor. Yes, I agree. But within the scope of this insanity, then Boox Mira is a more logical choice, if that actually makes sense. But I do believe that it is a far more logical choice because you get far more value for money, even though it's a heck of a lot of money. So it's a very simple matter for me. If you are in the market for an external e-ink monitor, like a 13.3-inch monitor, and you're thinking between Dasung Paperlike HD FD and Boox Mira, well, don't. It doesn't make any sense to think about it because Boox Mira is a much better product and much better value for money in all respects. It is so impressive and easy to use and easy to get used to using when you're browsing the internet and all these kinds of things are like your normal everyday tasks, that I was genuinely tempted to ask Boox and see, can I actually buy off this unit and maybe keep it for myself? And I don't know if that's possible or not, but after a while of churning that thought in my head, you know, I allowed common sense to take over and say, yeah, that's nice, but let's kind of put things down on paper. And when I did, how much I would actually use a product like this in my real everyday use case scenario, it came down that I wouldn't, that I just want to use it a lot because I really like it. But unfortunately, my main workload heavily relies on colors, and that's something that's an automatic no-go for me. So therefore, it's a product that I really, really want, and I would really want to have it and use it in my daily setup, and it would be an awesome thing, but I don't need it. However, it does make me wish that my day job was actually just typing and browsing and stuff, and then I could justify it and say, hey, I really need this product, and then, but I don't. So I don't know if this makes sense. Maybe it does for a couple of you, but yeah, I just needed to get the nerdiness out of my system a little bit. So as it is now, I have allowed the common sense to prevail, and I will send off the Boox Mira to the next reviewer in line with a wistful look in my eyes, remembering fondly of the days and hours that I spent with it. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell to get notified when the new videos come out on my deep guide. And one of the upcoming videos is the back-to-back video between Boox Mira, Dasung Paperlike, and Max Lumi 2, because I filmed the footage before I had to send off Max Lumi 2, so I do have that footage and I do have a direct comparison. It was one of the most nightmarish setup and a shoot to actually do. I absolutely hated the setup of that, but I persevered. So yes, we do have that, all 3 screens displaying same content at the same time and all that kind of stuff, so that you guys can actually have a direct comparison of them at the same time, which I think was the proper way to test these things, so that you can actually compare them. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. Also remember to check out in the description down below, you will see the link to the playlist for my daily organizer, which is a daily organizer, yearly, weekly, quarterly, monthly, and all that kind of stuff. So just check out the videos down there to see if you're looking for an organizer of some sort for your e-ink devices. It's primarily made for e-ink devices. Then maybe that's a product for you, so you can check it out and see for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your wonderful support. I'm really grateful to have so much wonderful audience and so much support from you guys, so thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.